Now there's a term they use called Brokeh, which is basically the quality of out of focus areas, and some lenses have better Brokeh than others. I like my Nikon lenses. My Nikon lenses have a beautiful Brokeh, and some Nikon lenses even have a separate Brokeh adjust. And so if you really want to have really nice creamy out of focus areas in your background, there's a few Nikon lenses that will give you a better Brokeh, and they even have independent Brokeh adjust, which is a wonderful thing. Longer lenses, if you don't have them mounted on a tripod or sensitive to motion, that means when you're zooming way out and you just got like you're a long distance away and you're looking at something, you're going to have a little bit of motion. This is because of the long distance you're looking at, and there comes a point when handheld will no longer work with a long lens, telephoto lens that's zoomed out, where you're looking at something far away. There's no way you can keep motion out of the object. In most cases, we're using a post-production software like Avid or Sony Vegas or Adobe Premiere, or a video editing software that allows us to take all our shots, put them in the computer as files, and then manipulate them to make our video project or movie or TV show, whatever you want to call it. Post-production requires usually a really powerful computer and a very good video editing software. There's a lot of different video editing softwares, and also they have, in each software you have your own color correction built into it. Avid is a great video editing software, but it's very expensive to run. It likes to crash a lot, and it requires a very powerful, specific kind of computer. You can't just buy any computer and have Avid work on it and work on it well. Adobe Premiere and Sony Vegas are very powerful. The James Cameron films were shot or edited on Premiere, and so there's nothing wrong with Premiere. Sony Vegas is a great video editing system. That's what I like to use. I like Adobe Premiere and Vegas over Avid because they both will take the files in pretty much immediately. Vegas is a little bit better than Premiere at bringing in a video file. And so let's just say that you're shooting with your DSLR, which a DSLR on an SDHC card uses an H.264 MP4 codec, and that will instantly go into Sony Vegas. And so you don't have to wait a long time while your video editing software like Avid is transcoding into an Avid file. Okay, Sony will work with it immediately. Grass Valley Edius will work with it immediately. iMovie will work with it immediately. Okay, Final Cut Pro will work with it immediately, but sometimes a little slower than Vegas. But Avid will have to have that big transcoding thing going on. So and I used to, my favorite was Final Cut Pro, and then Apple changed it to where it was like a fancy iMovie, and you can edit with it, but it doesn't want to give you the power of Premiere or Vegas or Avid. Okay, maybe sometime Apple will come out with a FCP that really is as powerful as their original FCP, but right now Final Cut Pro 10 is basically a fancy iMovie, and they keep making improvements to it, but still the way you use your files and manipulate your files at FCP gives you a big handicap. And I know there's some FCP people screaming, but go use Vegas, learn Premiere, learn Avid, and you'll know what you're missing. Used to have one of the best things ever in Final Cut Pro 7. Somebody at Apple got really stupid and went to FCP 10. They didn't know about video editing, and it was just sad. So right now you have to go to Vegas, Premiere, or Avid. On a PC, Vegas is absolutely fabulous. The big problem with Vegas won't work with the Mac, but if you can get a really powerful PC, you have a great editing system that will take everything readily, give you a lot of power. And so what you do, you bring in your files into your editing system. You will arrange your files, your cuts, and then you'll take them to your timeline and you will edit them according to the timeline. And there's a whole nother training involved in post-production. But the thing I'm saying here is when you're shooting, you need to be aware of the file type you're shooting with and how it's going to go into your editing software. If you're shooting on a DSLR, expect a lot of transcode time when you're going into Avid. If you're going into FCP somewhat, iMovie you'll go into instantly, but you don't have a lot of power to do anything in iMovie. It's great in some cases, but just really sad about FCP being dumbed down in 10. Vegas is my favorite now. Adobe's my second favorite, and then the thing about it is with Avid is a very powerful system. You can do anything with it. Just a lot of expense, a lot of work, a lot of crashing sometimes. But when you get into your nonlinear editing system, one of the big issues when you're shooting with your DSLR is, your color correction. What kind of color correction power do I have? Avid, Premiere, and Vegas have great color correction. And so those things, that's something you need to consider. And you want to bring your file in flat, color correct it to make it look great, and then go on into your editing. You can also get a third-party application like DaVinci Resolve, which you can get that for free, a light version of that from Blackmagic. And you can install DaVinci Resolve, color correct in DaVinci Resolve, and then go into your nonlinear editing system with corrected video that looks great.